I will die on that hill.
I absolutely love Miley Cyrus.
You have failed this.
Love this show.
The sickest night ever. Is this? What are we doing?
No. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Call Guys podcast. I'm Gunner, also known as Chico Noise. Alongside me, as always, my good friend Colton Keel, or as I like to call him, Juan Keel 43. And we have a few special guests with us tonight.
Yes, sir.
Back for, I don't even know how many times Chris has been here. And then also Tony. What is this, Chris? You're
counting 52?
Yeah. Just 5?
Yeah.
5?
Is it?
Sounds right.
Times? Holy crap.
Because it was Obi-Wan, Star Wars, and/or 52. Yeah, this is 5. This
Nice.
is number 5.
Nice.
Cool.
And Tony back for his third visit.
Oh
Including
yeah, this third, isn't it? Wow.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Mr. Big Stuff.
Mr.
Climbing the
Big
ranks. Climbing the ranks.
That's right. And soon he'll be one of the most revisited guests, like Chris and the Emperor. Yeah. How's it going, guys?
The Emperor is going to try to inflate and try to get on as many episodes as he can, just so he can be the number one.
Yep. Oh, you know it.
He'll just start doing those pop-ins like he did that one time. Just
Go.
fade in,
Yeah.
fade out. He'll be like, I've been on 30 episodes now.
I can't even count because he just does so many pop-ins. It's like, I don't remember which ones he's been on. Have to go back and find them, and then it just becomes a rabbit hole.
I'm sure he holds the record. I'm sure he
does.
is the number one. So
Yeah.
he'll fight for the title if it ever gets in question.
Yeah.
I'm just
Close
surprised he doesn't appear in like a Force Ghost form on your podcast.
Dude.
Dude, that
Don't
would
give
Just
him the
wait.
idea. Don't give him the idea.
I'm totally gonna make that happen.
The sad thing
One of
is
these
it'll be
episodes.
like a painted bed sheet. Like just me.
I it is the way. I can do it.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Yeah.
All right, I just want to get something out of the way right now. We are recording on Thursday, April 27th. For those of you who don't know, it is the opening night of the draft.
Jeez.
Forgive me, Gunner, for I am going to sin, okay?
I know.
I'll say this, though. The Bears only have one pick in the first draft. It's going to be short and sweet. Bryce Young went number 1. Hopefully you Panther fans out there are happy down there. And what is that, South Carolina? One of the Carolinas? Don't know, don't care. Thank you for those draft picks. I'm trying to get all the sports talk in as I can. So
he's gonna run out of breath.
yep. Like I said. And then to top it off, Boston has game 6 in Atlanta tonight. So we got that going for us because they choked away game 5 at home. Don't even get me started on that, Gunner. Okay, you got me started on that. Jaylen Brown, what are you doing allowing Trey Young any confidence whatsoever to step into a 3 to end the game? What are you doing? That guy's, he's a little midget out there. What are you doing? Man him up and tell him what's up. Okay, that's all you got to do. That's all you got to do. Seize up in 6. Let's go. Let's close this out and let's get to Philly. We ain't scared of Philly. Okay. Yeah. So
I feel that. I don't feel that.
no, right on.
Right
Right
on,
on.
right
Man,
on.
that's been a long time since that's been said on the podcast.
Oh gosh, yeah, right on. So yeah, if it looks like I am elsewhere,
Not
it's
paying
because
attention.
I only got to get to the 9th pick. That's all I want to get
believe
to.
you.
I just want to see the Bears pick, and that's all I care
He's
about.
turning
So.
basketball on.
No, if I turn basketball on, I might as well just go watch it on TV. I'll be good. I'll be good.
All right,
I'll
so
be good.
Tony, how's it going?
I mean, I can't follow any of this. I don't. I
neither, it's
don't,
all
I don't
right.
follow the sporting stuff that you talk about there, Colton.
You're okay. It's okay, man. It's okay.
All I know is you get excited about these things like the draft, and then you have like 4 or 5 months of misery when the actual sport starts. I don't understand why you do that to yourself.
You know, I blame my family for making me the sports fans that I am. And you know what the most common question I get is, well, why don't you change? Like, that's not even a thought. Like,
What would you change? Like, what do you?
my team, my sports team.
Ah,
Like, why
I
do I
see.
continue to cheer for losers? And it's like, it's not like I'm cheering for them. It's like, it's embedded in me that I'm supposed to cheer for them. It's like breathing. What do I
get
do?
that. I get that. I support DC too. You know,
Exactly. See, Chris understands.
I
Jeez.
feel you. We connect on that. I get
I mean,
it.
I think I
knew we were-
prefer. I think I do prefer someone who sticks with the team through the highs and lows rather than just someone who likes the team because they're doing well.
There's a lot of those out there too. Those bandwagoners.
Yeah, and that's how I am. I personally, I'm a big respectful big respect to anybody who's out there when their team is just trash for not years, decades. Like that's how that's good sport. Like I won't make fun of you. I won't bust on you, but that's a sign of a true fan. So yeah, we're just Anywho,
Good
Tony.
sports talk.
Tony, how are we doing? Did you get that? Did you get that matter taken care of that we were talking about earlier today?
Oh gosh, why am I drawing a blank on this? I don't recall.
Okay, good talk. Good podcast talk.
The matter.
I got nothing.
Good talk. Good talk.
Yeah,
Chris,
good
how,
talk, good talk.
Chris, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm glad to be here.
Mm.
My schedule's been very busy lately after work. So it's
Why so busy after work?
my wife started working for the first time in 11 years.
Oh.
So she gets off at 5 now. So I get home before her and I run the babysitter home and I try to do dishes and get dinner going. She's had dinner in the crock pot a couple times, but I'm usually trying to have things nice and ready for her when she gets home so we can just hang out as a family some and just trying to make it so she doesn't feel like she has to carry a load now that she's back at work.
Nice. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Good.
Yeah,
husband.
it's very busy though. And then my daughter, I got her into Sea of Thieves.
Nice.
So, and I hadn't really played often for years. Like I played the first couple of years, but then once they started the seasons and stuff, couple years back, I kind of fell I had quit playing. And but she played a couple times even back then and thought it was cool. And I just was like, you know what? I'll fire it up on the PC and we'll set the Xbox up out in the living room. And now it's every day. It's like, hey, Dad, we're going to play Sea of Thieves tonight. She's almost Pirate Legend because it's much, much easier to get there than it used to be.
Aw, that's
my
disappointing and also
gosh.
awesome.
No, I think a lot of the changes to the game are positive. I think they have a lot of good quality of life, and there's a greater respect for player time now than there used to be.
Oh man.
But we've had some great stories already, and I've come in and told Gunner at work and
yeah.
stuff. I'm like, oh, you won't believe what happened last night, or she got a PvP kill, and now she's like the most bloodthirsty animal out there. She's like, there's a boat, we should attack them. And I'm like, that's not what we're doing right now. But
We're getting a fish tonight.
oh, dude.
We're gonna get finished.
She was down for that for the first maybe half hour because I was like, we're gonna grind this out for a while. And then she was just like, I'm gonna run around the island. But yeah, so I try to fit that in some. Usually there's a couple nights. I try to fit some of it in on the weekends. Last weekend we didn't have time, but so trying to give her that time so we can connect and have a special father-daughter time. And then also do everything else. And I'm going to be helping a friend sell a comic collection soon, and I'm going to be sorting it and pricing it for him and helping him out with that too. So it's just
Nice.
a lot of stuff going on.
Sea of Thieves is a great game, though. It's one of those games where you can have a lot of fun with your buddies, goofing off, trying to do just dumb things, attacking people, losing a lot. But where I stopped playing when I started to play sort of by myself or with just, an additional buddy, because then you're just trying to do the missions and then some guy would come in or a whole team would come in and just wreck your world. And you're just like, I just collected all this stuff and just lost it. And it's just frustrating.
Yeah, I think it's interesting though, because back in the day, you'd be pumped if, you could play for an hour and be like, I made a couple thousand gold back then, in the early days. And now it's we play an hour and a half and I'm like, we made 60,000 gold tonight. That was a good session,
That was good.
And it's just wow, this is very different than it used to be. And there's constant, now that you can own your own ship, they have captaincy. So you buy a ship and name it and do all this. Well, it tracks milestones with that too. So it keeps track of different stats, and it'll be like, oh, now your ship is rated legendary under this thing because you've done this stuff so many times. And so you always feel like you have like minor progression now. Instead, so like being sunk, I actually feel like isn't as totally crushing as it was in like year one.
Oh man.
And it's much easier to get treasure quickly. But we've had some really positive experiences that like where we had good player interactions, and we've had some fights and stuff that were fun and one that wasn't, but you know, that's the game.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't seen it, I know since you guys all like it, I will suggest you should watch. They came out with a documentary because they just had their 5-year anniversary, and I know it's on YouTube, but it's like an hour and 16 minutes. It's called Sea of Thieves, A Voyage of a Lifetime. And they talk about like the early development. They show some of the early video of in the studio, and they talk about what COVID did to them and just all kinds of stuff. And you guys, I feel like you guys would probably find it pretty interesting. We watched it. My daughter and I watched it together. So
That's awesome that you have something like that you can do with your daughter.
yeah,
That's awesome. I'm looking forward to having something like that with my son. I think our most recent thing that we do is I've got my bass hooked up down here to an amp, and he's got a drum kit with an amp, and I'll go in there and I'll start messing with my bass, and the next thing I hear are these little pitter patter like running the sprint, and he runs in, turns his amp on, turns his kit on, grabs the sticks, it just starts waylaying on everything.
Best gift ever given by me.
Oh yeah.
I love to watch him play that thing.
Good old Uncle Gunner came through for that one.
Yeah.
that's
Like,
awesome.
that is adorable. I love doing it. And Gunner, that time's coming for your brother.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's
A
A
exciting.
couple years away, but
Yeah.
My son also loves playing my banjo. Like he'll pick it up and start like messing with it. And
nice.
he and I were playing Power Rangers before I came over to Gunners. That's his thing right now. He was
Nice.
like, okay, Dad, it's morphin time. And like he was like fighting me, you know, punches you right in the crotch because you're a good dad.
I'm a bad guy. I love when you say that. He says that. Oh man.
Well, tonight it was funny because he started as a Power Ranger, and then I was like, I'm a crab. And I was like fighting him. And then he was like, Dad, I a crab too. And I'm like, oh, Kid Crab and King Crab. And then we were acting like we were kicking buildings over and stuff. And he's like, come, Dad, kick the wheel. Like he has a Batmobile bed. So he's like, kick the wheel, smash the bed.
That's stuff you wish you had like a camera for, that you could record those moments.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to put a body cam on. Just
Dude,
capture
he's
everything.
constant, man. Yeah, you just wait, man. Colton, you'll get some of that sooner, but Gunner's gonna find out soon too.
Oh yeah.
And it always changes. Like every year that stuff changes. So it's fun. It's good stuff.
Nice. All right. Well, since we were talking about video games, I do have a question on the pod.
Oh.
And
Is it video game related?
It is video game related.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Way to be on.
Look at the
track.
segue. Look
Yeah.
at the segue.
So since we all are gamers, what is your favorite video game of all time?
Ooh.
Right off the rip. Like don't think too hard about it. If you first game that comes to your mind.
Mhm.
Okay, go ahead, Tony.
Half-Life. I've been a PC gamer, so I know I'm probably, for your audience, statistically everyone's more console gamers, but I've been a PC gamer most of my life, and Half-Life was the first realistic looking, say that now, first person shooter game that I really absolutely fell in love with. And it's got a couple of sequel games, and from that came Counter-Strike as a mod, and then Counter-Strike became picked up as a full game, and now it's a giant phenomenon in the PC gaming world anyway. So yeah, it started a lot of things in the gaming industry, and it's a really fun game to go through. So that's popped up first in my head.
Nice. Chris?
Man, you know, I've thought about this recently because like over time, because would you say that it changes for you guys though sometimes? Like if it kind of fluctuates? Because like I have a Mass Effect sweater on right now. And at one time I would have said Mass Effect. I've said Destiny in the past because I've played so much of that.
Yeah.
But honestly, right now, I would say Sea of Thieves. Like if things continue, because they're going to support it for like the next 5 years, if my daughter continues to play it with me, and then my friend in England, Jay, plays it with me, and like if we continue over this time and my son gets old enough and he starts playing and like my two kids can be playing with me and stuff, I think it would be.
Oh,
I
yeah.
think right now it's kind of my hotness, but other than that, I would say the first Mass Effect has never left me for like the impact of what playing a game like it and the story and things like that.
Nice. Golden.
Assassin's Creed Revelations. It was the end of the Ezio story. I felt like it was just a beautiful, beautiful bow tie on his character. Just a fan. I just love that type of game. I've probably have way too many hours into it. I think though that might have been one of the first games that really made me appreciate the storyline, and I started buying those games because of the character story.
Yeah.
So, what about you, brother?
I kind of went off the same thing you did. The most hours I really played in a game, and it's a game that I've been playing since I was really young, and that's GTA Vice City. I mean, I beat that game so many times, and I put so many hours into just free roaming and just, causing havoc. And it caused me to love Rockstar as a producer of video games and playing GTA 5 and GTA 4. It's just they've put out fun games, even Red Dead. I mean, I love Red Dead too. Vice City sticks out the most because I played it the most as a kid, and it's bad to say, but I played it a lot when I was younger. But yeah, Vice City.
That was GTA 3 for me. GTA 3 was your Vice City. I played countless hours, many replay throughs, done all the free roaming stuff. Played through, got the sports car from the garage right off the rip, and then did it for every single mission I could, and tried to keep it to survive through the whole game. Yeah, that's just crazy stuff like that.
It's one of those things you just love because they did have really good stories for how the time period of those games. But free roaming and just knowing the cheat codes off the top of my head and still remember them to this day.
Well, I mean, GTA 3 and Vice City really set the standard for what we kind of moved into with open world gaming. Like GTA 3 was like the first, I would almost say like the first real big open world kind of city like that. It was impressive. And I remember that Driver tried to kind of copy it. Because I like the original Driver, which was super fun, but it was hard. And then they tried to kind of copy GTA, and they just didn't do a very good job. But
yeah,
GTA 4 though, the story. Speaking of GTA stories, man, GTA 4's story was phenomenal.
Yeah, no,
I love
agree.
Nico.
Yeah,
that was a great character.
Mm-hmm.
Even 5, being able to play it and like choose your own path in certain points and do certain things.
I have a lot of hours in 5, but it's all online. I never got past like the
I
first
love
mission.
I love the online too.
Same, all online. But GTA 5 is, I don't even want to do the story because it's such a pretty area. Like, it's so well done. The puddles and the water effects and the lighting and the weather, just it all looks so good. I just drive around just to drive around. It's such a pretty environment.
Yeah, you can go fly a plane. You can go play tennis. You can go play golf. You can do just about anything. This makes it fun.
Yeah.
Good question.
But I also would say Oculus, Golf Plus. No, I'm just kidding.
Dude.
I seriously have put like probably 30 hours in the last week into Golf Plus.
Dang.
But dude, once you play VR though, it's different. And it's active. Like you're like up and around and you're engaged. And dude, it's a totally different experience.
I'm telling you, my lower back hurts from swinging so many balls and golf clubs. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, Colton.
Don't just stop it. Just stop it. I know it.
Okay. Sorry,
I want to watch. I want to get
Don't-
one so bad.
Don't try it if you want to avoid buying something.
Oh,
like
when
that.
he
I'm
was
just
here a couple
saying.
weekends ago, yeah, he played quite a bit.
You've played mine, haven't you?
Yeah.
The IR guy's right there.
Yeah, I got the
Nice.
I got the itch with Tony's VR, and I played that, and I just had so much fun. And then I think COVID came, and it just kind of back in my mind. And then Gunner's like, dude, man, we got to play the Oculus. And I'm like, okay, we'll play it. And I just like, I was thinking back to myself, like, this is next. This is next. And I need to get on the train.
You know what sold him on it here? Ping pong.
Mhm.
Ping pong.
It's always
so
something
fun.
simple.
It's so real though. Like the I can't remember what it's called, but it's the ping pong game on there. It just feels like you're actually playing.
So Tony, you said you're a PC gamer. Do you have the Vive? Is that what
Yep.
you use?
It's the first gen. So I've not tried any other VR headset, and I'm scared to because I know, like, this is old school. I have to have receivers to make sure it knows where I'm at in the room.
Yeah,
They're
but
buggy at times.
The Vive though is good. I
Vive
played the original
Pro
Vive.
is good. The Vive is okay. The advantage I have with the Vive is I can make it wireless, where the Vive Pro has to be tethered. It's a good unit. It's just I fear that if I look at like the Oculus, the resolution difference will be night and day, and I'll just never want to go back to this guy again, and I have to justify spending money to upgrade, and I don't want to do that.
You want the Index because you can play Half-Life Alyx then. That's
I can play it on the Vive.
Okay. I wasn't sure if they released it for everything or if it was a selling point for the Index. I have a friend that has an Index with all the like full body tracking. It's crazy.
Man, that would just be fun.
It's also expensive.
Oh, I know.
It's
I've
very
priced out
expensive.
some of that stuff, and it's I don't think it's worth it.
But
but
you
it
have to have
might
the
be.
PC for it too.
Yeah.
It adds up very, very quickly if you're doing that. Yeah, you have to be dedicated. He lives a different life than all of us.
Yeah.
Like that's his thing. That is what he does. Doesn't have a significant other, doesn't have to worry about stuff, has a decent job. Like that's what he does.
Goes to work, comes home,
Plays VR. That's a lot of his
goes straight into Ready Player One, and he's good.
pretty much, right?
All right. Well, I mean, I don't really have a whole lot else. You guys have anything? What have you been watching? Anything you guys have been watching that's fun lately?
I
Besides Mando?
finished Picard season 3,
Nice.
and I don't know how Trekkie nerdy your audience is, so I'll just keep it to a minimum on that. But yeah, I very much enjoyed it. It brought back the original Next Gen cast back together for one last outing, and they did a really good job because Star Wars and Star Trek have a lot in common at times with crappy writing, and this was a nice sort of positive season for once, so it was good.
Yeah, I heard the finale was really good. From like everybody I know who watches it said it was really, really good.
Nice. Chris, you been watching anything?
No, I've been listening to the Three Musketeers audiobook.
Nice.
That's
fun.
And I've always liked Three Musketeers a lot, like in the cinema and from television shows that they've done. But I find I've tried to read the book a few times, and because there's so much French in it still, it's kind of it makes you process so slowly when you're reading over things that the audiobook really helps get past a lot of that. But it's interesting because even though those characters can be really interesting, BBC did the Musketeers show, which is very much not like the book plot. It takes a lot of plots from it, but it doesn't follow the plot. It's really well done. I did start watching that with my wife. I had seen it, but she hadn't. So if you guys like that kind of action, romance, adventure kind of stuff, BBC's The Musketeers, it's on Amazon Prime. It's really good. But they are kind of deplorable though in the book. I can't get behind the type of people they are most of the time. They are just like 100% taking advantage of everybody. You're like, I feel bad for that woman who you're just swindling into paying for all of your stuff. And I'm like, I know that the author is trying to make it sound like we're supposed to be like, oh ho, but I'm like, ooh.
Yeah. Colton, you been watching anything other than the draft right now?
The Colts just selected Anthony Richardson out of the University of Florida. And the Texans traded it up and got the second and the third pick. They got the stud. They got a stud quarterback and the best pass rusher on the edge. So, man, that's a good draft for them so far. But anywho, I am about halfway through.
Mandalorian, yeah.
I wish. No, halfway halfway through Return of the King
Oh, nice.
audiobook.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Really enjoying it. I have actually enjoyed all three of these books. And it makes me, and the thing about it is that it makes me want to do more audiobooks. But I'm also worried that the first book I do is going to not live up to the expectations of Andy Serkis doing the narrating.
There are a lot of really good. I can give you some names of like exceptional narrators. So then if you go to Audible, you can actually like find
Look
their
for those
name.
people.
Yeah.
I'd actually really appreciate that, because I think that's the one thing I'm probably worried about most is getting a book like Ready Player One, for example. I think that'd be a great book for Gunnar and I to do. And that narrator just absolutely is just trash. Like, I'm worried that it's going to ruin the book for me.
It can.
Yeah.
So,
I just want you to know, I just got to where Sam and Frodo run into Gollum for the first time.
okay, so now,
Yeah, I mean, I
now
just got there. It's chapter
the-
20 is what it's listed as, but it's not chapter 20.
that's it. I'm telling you, man, the book is you're going to fly through the book from there, because it gets so much better.
Smeagol doesn't know.
It's great. It's fantastic.
He does. I mean, you can't beat it because it's Andy Serkis doing himself, right? I mean, it just makes it-
Correct. Like, I mean, it is literally Smeagol talking.
Yeah.
Okay. I know you guys are going to do an episode about this, and today's not Lord of the Rings, it's Star Wars. But Lord of the Rings is like my big nerd. It's kind of what it is. So I have to know, Colton,
Yeah.
do you agree that the character of Aragorn is
Oh, gosh.
vastly different in the books?
Night and day.
And he's so inspiring in the books, like, because he doesn't doubt himself. He's supposed to be like a role model, like somebody you could look up to, because he's like, this is who I am, this is my duty and all of this. And I'm just like, you read the books and you're like, why did they make him like me, that doubts himself all the time in the movie? I want the guy that I could have looked up to, not the guy I relate to.
Hey, he still becomes.
Not the guy I can relate to.
I don't want this responsibility. I'm like, we're the one in the book. I also like that, like, he has the broken sword from the very beginning, and
Yeah.
there's all those differences. I don't want to spoil
Oh.
anything for
Oh
the
man,
future for
you should see
for
my
Gunnar.
notes. You should see my notes for
Dude.
Fellowship.
It's just so good, and Sam's my favorite character in the book series. But
Oh my gosh.
everybody needs a Sam in their life.
Andy absolutely kills Sam, because I hear him. I hear him.
Master Frodo.
Like, he does such a good job of doing that voice. It makes me think that it's the real actor that is doing it. Of
There was
like,
Sean Astin.
yeah, it's. And I was just like, man, he does such a good job.
For sure. All right, so let's get on to it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I feel like, though, every conversation we've had is not going to be better than what we're getting ready to talk about. I would rather do draft updates.
Whoa.
Just like, hey, anytime you stop the conversation to do a draft update, I'll put in a little chime. Ding, 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 ding.
Don't do that. Don't do
Draft update.
You need to just put in a thing right now that goes.
Oh,
that. Seahawks got their pick in.
uh-oh.
I wonder what the Skywalker. What does the Skywalker want in the NFL draft? Hit us up at thecallguyspodcast@gmail.com and let us know, Skywalker.
All right, everybody.
Did the New Republic get their draft yet? Was it a rogue scientist?
Pershing.
I don't think he pans out. I don't think he pans out in the second round. I don't think he's gonna make it to the second season.
Oh, and Moff Gideon chose Mandalore for home turf. Is that what we're seeing? Was that an option?
Plot
do the whole
twist.
thing like a draft. The armor is
exactly
like,
what I
I
was-
choose Bo-Katan to lead the team.
Hey,
Team
no,
captain.
boss. You're supposed to be the captain.
Yeah, Mando second string. So So
Oh my
if you,
gosh,
if
that
you don't
would've
know,
that would have been a really good idea.
if only we would have pre-planned it in a pre-production meeting.
Navarro chooses Mando for their defender.
Carl
Frontline defense.
Weathers. Carl Weathers says.
Carl Weather.
So everybody
Okay.
listening, we are
Just
going to talk about.
Tap it in. Just tap it in.
Tap 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 tap.
Tap it in. Sorry, wrong Carl
You
Weathers.
took
My
Chubb's
fault.
hand.
Well, I got his head.
Did I dedicate this round to Chubbs?
Let's just talk about that movie. Let's do that instead.
Oh,
Happy
man.
Gilmore.
Pivot.
Okay, let me try this again. So everybody listening, we're going to discuss Mandalorian season 3. And it's probably going to be a little bit all over the place because I know we all have some different takes, some different things I'm sure we want to talk about. Maybe we're all similar. I don't know what Tony thought of it, but I do kind of know what Colton and Chris thought of the season as a whole, as compared to the rest of the series. So let's just get into it. Who wants to start it off? What do you want to start off with?
Well, why don't
Well,
we?
wait, this first.
Nothing. I heard.
For those who don't watch the
I hear
YouTube
it.
video,
I hear it.
Gunner tried to turn it on,
It didn't make
his
a
lightsaber,
sound.
and it doesn't make a sound because
It comes through our
Zoom
headphones.
cancels
I
the
know, I
hear
audio.
it.
I heard.
I think Chris is right.
That's all I
think-
heard.
I think Chris is right. I think Disney's already blocking it out before it even hits the airwaves.
Copyright strike. Bam.
All right, well,
No
my
lightsaber
lightsaber tried to Qui-Gon Jinn all over him. But...
You better keep that away from here. I'm gonna dark saber it.
Oh snap!
All right, so
Oh
what do you
my
guys want to talk
gosh.
about?
Yeah. So
I've already
Tony,
I thrown some suggestions out already.
I'm pretty sure Colton has already expressed that it was. I mean, can still think of several Disney Plus shows that I think it's superior to. But Tony, what was your overall opinion? I would like to hear.
Well,
that.
that's a low bar to say. I could think of some other Disney Plus seasons that were less than this because Disney has not been doing well in their seasons of shows.
Hey,
True.
it's
She-Hulk
the-
was good.
Whoa! I was literally thinking of that as one of the ones that was worse.
It was a joke.
He's like, Daredevil was in it. It's definitely better. Oh, hold on. There's something I did want to ask you guys. Do you know anything about the behind the scenes of this season?
No.
So I heard this today and I didn't have time to fact check it, but where the source I heard it from, I find trustworthy. I would trust this. Pedro Pascal was not on set for any of it. He ADR'd all of the dialogue, and it was his stunt guys in the costume the entire season because he was filming The Last of Us.
Sure.
That's
I mean, to me,
Which
to
would
me, that
also
does-
explain why he never once takes the helmet off this season, like even not in front of people. Every other season he has, even if it wasn't in front of others. Like even season 1, he does have the moment where he takes it off once or twice. So, but yeah, wasn't actually on set.
I mean, that doesn't bother me.
It doesn't bother me either because when Mando's
don't
at
see
his
him.
best, he's just gunslinging anyway, and those are the stunt guys most of the time.
I mean, he's got two modes: it's gunslinging or slow walking. That's it,
Dude,
I mean,
this makes
is
the
the
Lord of the
way.
Rings as a joke, like being a walking movie, because that's the whole Clerks thing, right? Is that the Lord of the Rings
Yes.
is all about walking,
Yes.
but but Mando is the true walking story.
For real. Well, besides Lord of the Rings.
They don't cover the same distance, man. He covers planets.
That's true.
That's a good point.
But you can't walk from planet to planet.
He needs a treadmill in his ship. He could feel like it then.
Yeah.
But anyway, Tony, for real.
So this season, there are moments where I enjoyed it, but overall, this is by far the worst season of Mandalorian. Of all the Star Wars seasons, if you were to just throw each season of every show and split them up, this would be like the second worst, in my opinion. Book of Boba being the worst of the worst. And
Oh,
I know
I
that's polarizing.
I would still put Kenobi at the very bottom for me.
The only reason Kenobi is a bit above is just of the little bit of fan service it does, but that's it. Like that's the only thing that puts it above.
I like that it's like, no, but the bottom three are definitely
those.
shows.
Yes, I'll tell you, those are the bottom three.
There's
That's it.
no arguing.
Yeah. So yeah, it had some good moments, but man, did this take a real bad turn in terms of quality and tone and storytelling as a whole.
It just felt like they were like, hey, we need another season of Mando, but it needs to come out before Ahsoka, where we're actually moving this universe like forward. And we really just like Mando is the king show of live action filler. I feel like every season they take like a 10-minute plot and they're like, we need a 40-minute episode for a 10-minute task. And we need 8 episodes for something that's like a 3-episode plot. There's so much. And I don't mind usually because I can enjoy just the vistas of Star Wars and, just the little world interactions. I enjoy that because I like Star Wars. That doesn't mean it's great. And most people do really like season 1. Most people also enjoy season 2. Season 3, I feel like did some things that I really liked in certain aspects, and I understand some of the choices that were made, but it wasn't a tight it was a bridge season. They were just like, this needs to be a bridge to something else. And because of that, it didn't have a backbone to like promote it. Like it didn't carry any weight. Like the whole plot that was introduced in Book of Boba, and if you didn't watch that, you were completely lost when the first episode starts up.
Yeah.
It's like, did I miss a season of Mando? And it's like, actually, you did. You missed Mando
You missed
season 2.5. And people are like, what? Yeah, it was called Book of Boba. It was called Mandalorian, the Book of Boba.
My wife, that's exactly what happened to my wife. Because she watches Mandalorian. That's one of our shows. And she's like, what's going on?
Where did he get little Anakin?
Why is Grogu back?
Yep.
Why
My
is
wife
there
said.
a Naboo? Like,
Yep.
Like,
oh yeah, it's like that. Disney fully expects that you to just watch everything they do. They don't give a crap about your opinion on it. You better watch all their shows if you're going to watch like Marvel or Star Wars or any of that kind of stuff. They're like, nope, you have to watch it all.
it's
And
so
guess what?
true.
We do.
Yeah.
And I don't watch the Marvel stuff anymore.
Yeah, that's true.
I haven't watched many seasons of any of it now.
Same.
But
I watched
Star
She-Hulk,
Wars
and I don't
is
know why I
my
did that to
Marvel.
myself.
Sorry. I don't know why I'm apologizing.
I
It wasn't my
want the
fault, but it was
Daredevil
good.
show to be good,
I know, me too.
but I'm withholding any of those. It's just like I hope Guardians 3 next week is good. Or technically when this releases.
This week. Or
this
no,
Friday.
That would be the week before.
Oh, this is a 2-week span, isn't it?
Yeah.
So this past weekend,
Guardians
when I
was
saw
great,
Guardians
guys.
3, really, I was disappointed because I thought it felt like Guardians 2.
It's a shame that everyone died at the end, really.
No, they show it. Did you watch the after credit scene?
Oh, I know I didn't this time.
They
I don't know why I
show
didn't.
Peter's hand like flicker, like his fingers move under the rubble.
What would you do
Makes
if they
sense,
all
makes
die
sense.
and they're all just like in flower pots at the end growing back?
Then we called it.
So,
Yeah.
but no, like Mando, like we get from Book of Boba, you have the quest for the season because there's always a season quest, right? Like season 1, it was, what do I do with this kid?
Yeah, pretty much.
Season 2 is, I have to take this kid to a Jedi. And season 3 was, I have to
Forget all
bathe
of
in the
that, and we're gonna
waters.
do this.
Well, the season 3's original quest setup was, I need to bathe in the waters to regain my honor as and be Mandalorian.
Which
And
took
he
an
finishes
episode.
it. He technically wraps it up in 2 episodes. And then the 3rd episode, it's still working that out. Because that's when he like goes to tell them, and then we're on Coruscant for a whole episode. And I actually liked the Coruscant episode at the time of viewing because I was like, oh man, this is going to tie in. It's going to be cool. I like the vibe. I like what they're introducing some new characters. What is this going to do? And then when it does nothing, you're like, why did I spend a 54-minute episode? It's like the longest episode of the season.
For a guy to look at a rock.
It's absolutely hands down the best episode of the season. Like, it was so different. It was a change of pace. It introduced
It's because
new
it felt like
dimensions.
Andor.
Yeah, it did. It put more behind the scenes of the Empire and the New Republic and all that, and it was really good. And then you're right. I was like, this is great. I want more of this. And then at the end of the season, it's just like, so that whole episode was to introduce the one
This-
character back.
A spy too that like is in a scene where she overhears the pilot talking, like trying to get a requisition done.
Yeah.
It was a long
And-
way to go to bring Moff Gideon back.
It was, and I,
It
like
was.
they could have even had that be more of like a mystery side plot, like Moff Gideon's ship was attacked. What's gone on? And you could have split it more between like the New Republic, kind of like looking into that and stuff. And it was odd. And Dave Filoni's great. I always trust that he has a plan, and he definitely knows Star Wars. So all of it felt like it was in Star Wars. But then there's like the dragon episode. I'm like, so first they get attacked by a giant turtle, and then they get attacked by a dragon. And I'm like, why are they staying here?
Why are they staying there?
Like,
Exactly.
why? Like, hey, let's live where our very small clan is most likely to just get obliterated
By the Earth, by the
by
planet.
random animals. And then like I understand the Bo-Katan stuff. I actually do. I didn't feel like it was just a Disney thing where they're like, you know what, we need to move more of a female lead, because they do that sometimes. That's just a production thing now. And I didn't think it felt like that was the choice, because only as somebody who watched Clone Wars and somebody that watched Rebels, Bo-Katan's story is much more nuanced and interesting as a character journey than Mando's. Mando's literally, as we saw, ends where it began. It ends on the same planet in the same town doing the same job. Like, that's what he is. That's fine. He's a gun. That's fine. You can make shows like that. There's an old school Western called The Rifleman that had seasons of that. And you can do that, and it can be fun. I don't think it's popular stylized now to have that kind of like recurring episode. You know, when Smallville or The Flash or those CW superhero shows do that, they call it Freak of the Week, and everybody complains because they're too samey. And so I think that I told Gunner, I think what happened is they went, I don't think Mandalorian as a gun can carry a series anymore. And Dave Filoni said, it's called The Mandalorian. It doesn't mean it's one Mandalorian. It could be any Mandalorian. But they established it as being one Mandalorian is the problem, and that sets expectations.
Mhm.
And I liked getting to see Bo-Katan's story arc kind of conclude from what they had shown. You know, she starts as a villain in the Clone Wars, and now she's regained her right to the throne of Mandalore and like is reunited the Mandalorian people. I like that. That's cool. It felt it didn't feel like this was a natural progression for this show, though, is the problem. And I feel like Dave Filoni's setting it up for the future of what I call the Mandoverse, which is all the Disney Star Wars TV stuff. And in the movie, I still think Ahsoka's next. They're going to introduce Thrawn, which I'm super pumped for. I lost my mind when I saw the trailer and they show the back of Thrawn's head. I literally grabbed my hair and like yelled, because he's one of my favorite Star Wars characters ever. And the thing is I think that Filoni's already announced that he's wrapping all of this up in a movie, and they're already filming Mando season 4. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a time jump or something because of where it ends. They could jump a couple of like 5-10 years, whatever. Grogu can't even be an adolescent before Din Djarin's dead. So with the age difference.
Yeah.
But the thing is I think that they're all going to go up against Thrawn in the movie. That's my prediction. It's going to be named something like Heir to the Empire. He's going to be the big bad. It's going to conclude everything. I get that this season was trying to set up, oh, look, Mandalore's rebuilding. If they do a time jump season 4, you're going to see Mandalore more rebuilt. There's going to be more Mandalorians. They're going to be active. It's going to be a bigger world progression, I think. I think that's what this season was. Doesn't mean it felt good. It had good moments. It had some interesting episodes. Not a good season, though. Like, as a whole, like cohesiveness, just not good. I agree, Tony. That was my long way of saying I totally agree. Felt totally disjointed.
Yeah, I mean, I could nitpick about this whole season all day. I mean, you start with episode 1, they bring back IG-11. It's like, okay, so that character's sort of progression meant nothing again, because you're just going to bring him back, and then he goes to try to kill Grogu, but his memory was wiped before. Yeah, you start to play the plot hole. I mean, giant plot hole there, and so that, and then yeah, why do they live on a planet where animals are trying to kill them? And then when they are trying to kill the animal, you can see their blaster shots are doing nothing. But just keep doing that, same thing over and over again. Just keep doing it. And then why are you training outside where these creatures are? Train inside. Yeah, but I get it. Plot has to happen. Things have. You've got to have that. You have to have some conflict and some action scenes. But one of the big things that bugged me was in episode 2, we got an end to the mystery. So we've heard that Mandalore's been poisoned, that no one's you can't go back there, and it's sort of like, well, seemed like it's just a 5-minute hyperspace jump to just go check on it real quick. No one thought to do that. Just hop over, just take a look at it real quick. No, that's just all. Let's spread this myth around the verse. Did
you hear Goshen got bombed? We can't go to Goshen anymore.
Yeah,
shoot! Don't bother fact checking.
Yeah, nope.
I did think that was one of the weird things. I'll say this: my favorite part of this season is you finally figure out the very beginning of the show and what Moff Gideon was trying to do and get accomplished at the very beginning, the very first episode. You finally know what he wanted to do with Grogu. That's the only thing I took away from this season.
Yeah, I mean, that was and even that kind of ties into their whole sequel trilogy and Palpatine's clones and all of that stuff, obviously. But no, really, what about that scene though? It's like he had, like, I saw somebody go, so he just had like a button to hit and all of the clones tanks explode.
Yeah, and
like I would have rather him gone up and like shot him or like broke him or something with his gun. Like what?
IG-11 Grogu just punching.
IG-11 Grogu, I was not a fan of. I wasn't.
Oh,
that was totally
No.
a toy sales thing.
No.
Because it wasn't until he left that body that he was a badass anyway.
He made me laugh. That made me laugh out loud when he was doing all the yes and no.
Yeah. Well,
that might have been the best.
I laughed out of just pure, just sort of why. Why?
It's funny.
I like getting to see some pirates. That was kind of cool. I like that they touched on that. And although the episode where it was called The Pirate, I knew they were going to bring the guy back, but everything in me hoped it was going to be Hondo Ohnaka. I was just like, oh man, I'm waiting for him to show up. It would make sense if he's in Ahsoka because that was the last time we saw him was Rebels. But he's one of my favorite supporting characters.
That was a pretty episode. Good fight scene.
Oh yeah.
I don't understand how evacuate the city, this big giant city, results in only 50 people, but that's okay. I guess they built this giant city from nothing.
Not everybody else heard the evacuation.
Just 50 people. Oh, got it. Okay.
Not everyone got it.
They were
out.
hiding. They were just they were stuck. Some of the pirates had already gotten them. No, that was cool. That felt very Star Wars. Like it felt like what they do. Now on the flip side of that, though. So in the last episode, I thought they were going to have a space battle because they scramble all these ties. And then it's like, no, it's only one ship that gets to fight. But here's my question. So he brings it back crashing down, right? What happened to all those ties, man? Like, there is no way he took out all of them. Being like the only person on the ship, he can't run all the like gunnery area modules and all that. And I was just like, they showed that those ships were like tearing it apart. And I'm like, where'd they all go? Like when it was crashing down, did they just go, oh, forget this, and like flew off or something?
Didn't return.
I was like, what is this? Like, where'd they all go? All of a sudden, they're just like, nah, it's cool. We took down the big ship. We shouldn't go back down and do anything. There was a lot of those moments. That was the problem. I did go ahead.
I was going to say, what bugged me about that is so now you've got this big giant ship crashing into the atmosphere. I mean, it's coming down fast. And not only does the time in which you see it like coming down, and then they cut to Din Djarin and that having like a nice monologue scene. It's like, guys, it should have been here by now, times 2 or 3 by now. But okay, keep going. Yeah, keep talking. And then it crashes. And that would have been a really big cataclysmic explosion. It would have destroyed everything in that area, probably for a mile even. And they just and it seems like there was no debris that even remotely came near our heroes, and it was just a fireball. And everything stayed intact. The ground was fine. Like,
It was kind of dull for something that should have been super exciting. That's for sure.
So Tony, you said your favorite part was the Coruscant episode, right?
yes.
Okay. Gunnar, what was your favorite either scene or episode? Did you have one? Because obviously we all have negative opinions, but I'm curious to know like what kind of, because we all knew this was going to happen. I told Gunnar, I go, this is going to be the shortest Star Wars episode we've ever done.
That's what I was telling.
There wasn't enough. There's not enough plot to discuss.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I said, we've already hit them.
I'm trying to think. Was it the first time? When did he have the big space battle? Was that the first episode where he had a space battle?
When he fought the pirates?
Yeah.
That was episode 1.
I think that
I believe.
that overall just like was like, oh, this might be a really good season because of this space battle. It just
It
seemed
actually
like
did have a good episode 1.
it
Yeah.
did.
It did.
And I really enjoyed that scene, but I
Minus IG-11.
minus idea. Sorry.
And then Colton, you said you liked that you finally got to see the tie-in to the original.
Yeah, that was my favorite part, is that it finally, like, because all up until then we never knew what was going on, like what kickstarted this whole thing, and we finally found out it's just Moff Gideon trying to do some real evil stuff.
I think one of the better moments also in this show comes, I think, in episode 4. Where we have an old actor from the Star Wars universe who didn't really show his face before, I don't recall, but he got to show his face in this season. And when he, back in the day, did his stint on the movie he was in, he was very much hated. He hated the franchise.
It ruined
He hated
careers.
the fans. He was not in a good place. But he came back to reprise a different character, and that was the Jar Jar actor Ahmed Best playing a Jedi who saved Grogu, and it was great to see him appear on the screen, and it was an amazing scene, great action, well choreographed. I was very much a big fan of that sequence.
Misa thought it was great too.
No, I agree. I thought it was really cool when I saw that that he was the one that played the Jedi. I understood why they even had that scene, because that was another one of those where I was like, we don't need to see that Grogu made it through Order 66. Like that was just another one of those things where it's like, this doesn't matter,
Right,
like for where we're at now. But the fact that it was there to redeem an actor, not to redeem a character, but to actually redeem an actor who had been vilified for just playing a part he accepted. Like, people forget, actors play parts, man. Like, he was cast to do that. He was told how to do it, and he did it. And he got death threats. He got to a point where he didn't even want to live anymore. His life, it was so cataclysmically crushed. And so for them to have been like, you know what? We're going to give him redemption. We're going to bring him in and give him a new character to claim in the universe that doesn't want him around. I thought that was great. Like, that's beyond just the show. You know what I mean? Like, it's so cool that they did that for him. Because now he can be a Jedi. He can be in Star Wars and not be like, yeah, I'm Jar Jar Binks. He can be like, I played the Jedi that saved Grogu. Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, I guess for me, I do like that they tied everything up. I'm kind of with you on that one, Colton. That was one of my favorite things. It was cyclical. By the end, it felt like they had tied up all of those plots that they started in the beginning. We finally had answers. We finally saw a villain defeated. Assumed defeated. I'm assuming he's defeated. I'm still waiting to see if the clone that woke up in the tube, they see a Moff Gideon later who has force powers or something show up at some point.
The hand coming up through the dirt.
Just like Peter Quill in that after credit scene. So, but something that I don't know if I have like a straight up favorite part. I did like the scene with the pirate attack and kind of how they fended that off. That was a cool, like him and Bo-Katan working together. The moments that I thought were kind of cool. I like the crushing of the Darksaber only because even though I think it doesn't work well for people that have only watched this, I think it was a good way to symbolize that there's a new era of Mandalore starting, and that's the past. The Darksaber was made to kill Jedi. And so I think that it's cool that they were kind of like, no, that we're going to be a united Mandalore. We're not just going to be a people at war. I like that. I thought that was good symbolism. I also like that they didn't have to go all in on, not to sound like this, but I like that they didn't have go all in on what typically they consider a strong female lead is, which is usually they have to be highly skilled and do everything on their own. I like that she didn't beat Gideon. Mando helped her beat him. Like when he's like, aha, and she's like, we're stronger together, and they work together and beat him. I loved that, actually. I thought that was great. That's not very common with a lot of characters nowadays that kind of get the limelight. So I like that, and it represents a lot of what Mandalore is supposed to be. I thought that was cool.
It's just a shame that Katie Sackhoff didn't have more to do in terms of the type of personality and character. She's a great actress.
Mhm.
She could do a lot more than what they gave her, and it's just really a shame to just not have them do more for her or write her better dialogue and scenes in places.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously she played the same character before, so like she voice acted Bo-Katan in Clone Wars and stuff. So she's just playing a character she's played for like
Years.
like multiple seasons in other things. But I do agree though. She's a kind of underutilized as far as skill sometimes in that. But
Yeah, I do have a question. We're gonna talk about cameos because there's so much. There's so many different takes on the cameos in what was it, episode 6?
I think it was 6, right?
Yeah,
It was 6. Guns for Hire, yeah.
yeah. Thoughts?
I was
Worth
waiting
it?
for this.
Not worth it? Was it dumb? Did you enjoy them, Tony?
I overall, I love Jack Black. I really do.
Same.
It was not a good match for the show. But maybe this is the way the show's going, and so maybe this is the new way, the new tone, and the new cartoony-ish. Yeah, this is the way. It's if the show is trying to be more cartoony and just not take itself as serious as it used to, then he fits right in. But for me, because it's so different than what I'm used to seeing of The Mandalorian and even Book of Boba, it was such a strange tonal shift. I really struggled to enjoy the cameo. Even Christopher Lloyd, his cameo, I think fit much better than Jack Black's. But even that, it still was just a little like, you brought this guy out of retirement for this?
To be the bad guy.
He's a bad
I'm
guy.
a bad guy.
And he would have got away with it too if it wasn't for those meddling kids.
Meddling Mandalorian. Yeah. Chris, what were your thoughts on the cameo? I think we've talked about it a little bit, but
I thought it didn't really bother me. It wasn't something I felt, it felt a little jarring because I think anytime you bring somebody into a universe that's established and they're that recognizable and like the way they act is that recognizable, sometimes it's almost off-putting because you're trying to, like, your brain's trying to relate the two things together. I didn't think he did a bad job, and I don't think that it's like they can show different aspects. Like Star Wars is so big and it typically has a tone, but we've seen that it can have different types of characters tonally and things. And I was like, it's okay. It didn't bother me. I think, well, what I had told Gunnar actually is less about the cameo for that episode and more about the episode itself. Kind of like how they did Andor, and it was this like gritty spy terrorism kind of vibe to the Star Wars universe, political intrigue. I would be 100% okay if they decided to do police procedural in the Star Wars universe, like where there's crimes and they're like pulling up in their hover cars on Coruscant or something, and they're like, where'd you find the body? Like that'd be okay for me. He was their space runner. Like, I would be fine with that. That's the one thing that episode made me think was I never thought about, like, in the Clone Wars, there are some episodes where there's like something Ahsoka goes to the seedy underbelly to try to find evidence on and stuff. There's some episodes like that in the Clone Wars a few times. And I think that those things fit in Star Wars. Like, you can do those things. And while I don't want Mandalorian to be that, I wouldn't mind having that be its own thing. I would watch a mini series on some like New Republic people investigating some stuff, and it feeling like a buddy cop crime procedural, like the way Bo-Katan and Mando felt in that. Yeah. I'm okay with that. Mm-hmm. I don't think that I need it in Mando, but I would be open to watching a show like that.
Yeah.
I mean, thanks to Andor, we've seen that you don't have to have Jedis and lightsabers to make a good show in the Star Wars universe. So I'm with you on that. You could absolutely do that, and I'd be on board. Again, as long as the writing's good.
Yeah. That's really it, man. Writing and budget is utilized properly. That's the other thing Andor showed. Properly used budget.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Colton, you've been quiet because the draft's on, I know, but what do you think?
Well, the Bears just traded back, and here we are, just BS after BS. Who knows what they're doing? I better get.
There you go.
What do you think Jack Black would say in character, that as a ruler, the way he would about your Bears draft pick?
You have to do it in the voice too.
I like the face that you're just like, I don't know how to say to that.
Well, what do you think of what did you think of the cameos? We've kind of talked about it.
We brought it up in an episode earlier. I don't like the fact that they I don't like the fact that I felt like they blew their wad on one episode with all cameos. They had 3 cameos, one episode. I think I would have enjoyed, even if it wasn't just 3 cameos, if it would have been those 3, if it would have had a different episode with a different cameo. I don't like that they spent 3 cameos on one episode. I would have had 3 different episodes with one cameo. Now, I understand with what they were doing with these 3 characters, and obviously, when this episode, it's one of those whodunit type of things. It's one of those 3 because it can't be anybody else.
So the Mandalorians that were on that planet, right? They were there as their kind of military, right? They were there to protect them. Is that kind of what
they're like hired guns? Yeah.
So now that they're gone, who's protecting that planet? I mean, they're just gone.
You've put more thought into this than the writers have.
Apparently.
It's the droids. The droids have risen up as a police force.
True. I didn't think about that.
By the way, speaking of the fact it was like a whodunit crime procedural, how funny is it that they even had like a crate moving dock scene like Law and Order? Like, yeah, he reported on time for his job the other day. Let me just keep. And then he's like kicking the guys moving the crates.
That was cool. Like, seeing the super battle droids and the battle droids, that was fun. I think that was
nice.
Yeah.
But I think actually, Colton, you brought something up just now about spreading cameos,
Mm-hmm.
And I had a thought that I hadn't had until this moment, and that's that I don't think Star Wars needs cameos. Star Wars tends to utilize actors that are pretty much unknown, or really low key actors. They've been in a few things. They're not considered stars. Because I think that when you bring stars in, there's attachment to that. And so having cameos, you already have assumptions about those characters, because of who's playing and all that stuff. And so I think maybe Star Wars just shouldn't have cameos at all. I think that'd be smart.
I'm
I think
with
it
you
kind of
there.
messes with the vibe.
Or if you do bring in somebody, have them do like what Simon Pegg did in
not noticeable,
not noticeable. It's a voiceover. Like, bring him in like that. Have him be, paint him up. Don't give him a major speaking role. Just like have him be like a throwaway line character, or I don't know. I'm with you there though. I do. That is one thing that I do like about Star Wars is that they seem to get people that you're just like, who is this person? And the next thing you know, they blow up.
It's like the opposite of Marvel. Like Marvel's bringing in more and more like known actors over the years.
Yeah.
And I feel like Star Wars is like the opposite. Usually they try and like new talent or like I said, like low key people.
Loki's from Marvel.
I knew you were gonna. I knew somebody was gonna say it.
He threw
But-
it up there. I had to hit it.
You know, Daniel Craig was in what was it? The Force
Awakens. He was a
Yeah, he was a
stormtrooper.
stormtrooper. And so it's like, yeah, I like that idea. Like, have cameos. Don't let the actors be on screen for them, like or that like their faces. Like, put some makeup on them.
For all we
You
know, he ADR'd that at home.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
But
I mean,
there's a
Pedro
different kind
Pascal
of
doesn't have to be on set. Why do they?
yeah.
but there's a different kind of cameo that works in movies and shows, and it's like Star Trek does this a lot too. It's not necessarily a cameo like a big actor, or not even necessarily a big actor coming into a show. It's like at Picard season 3, it's like the Next Generation cast, but you remember Shelby from this particular episode back in the day. Like they bring back characters from other shows and other episodes that from way back when as a nice homage to their characters, but also to just get to kind of give you that feeling of, ooh, it's that person, without it being so off-putting, because like you said earlier, where you're trying to distinguish the person with the character and trying to play that mind game.
Yeah, the Red 5 would be that for Mando, right? Like R2 R4D5. R4, right? Right?
R5.
R5.
No,
Sorry, R5D4, right? That's his name.
The astromech.
Yeah, R5. R5D4, right? The red
I
one.
think
that he
yeah,
gets.
the one from
the one from A New Hope
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
right.
the
Yes,
junker.
yes,
that
yes,
got
yes,
the bad
yes.
that had a bad motivator.
motivator. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, so like technically they did that. They did it with a droid.
Wonder who was in that costume. Or if
Nowadays
even
it was all
just for remote
robotics,
control.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nowadays
It's all
like, you see
CG and robotics.
any Comic Con you go to, there's full size astromech droids running around. Yeah. Some dude sitting over in the corner just remote controlling them. Who can I run into? So what else? What else you guys want to hit on for this season? I know we all kind of have like that. It was just an okay season. It didn't really hold up to 1 and 2. Didn't really hold up to some of the other stuff coming out. Are you guys excited? Are you guys excited for Ahsoka? Are you guys excited for Mandalorian season 4? Are you excited for what's coming out? Are you excited for the new 3 movies that they've decided to announce that they're going to put out also? Crickets.
I guess I'm waiting. I'm anything Disney related right now. I'm trying not to get my hopes up. I could care less for a good looking trailer right now. It's just one of those things that I'm kind of getting worn down on Disney, and it's because they're just it's quantity over quality. And I just wish they would slow down, take their time, do some big, like I would be okay if they did like 2 shows, like Andor style. And that was it for their TV selections coming out. Pick an MCU story they want to follow, and pick a Star Wars story they want to follow, and have them focus directly on those 2 projects. All the resources go to those 2 projects for the TV shows. And then Gunnar and I have talked about it before. I think they need to go back to doing only 2 MCU movies a year. And they need to stop spreading themselves so thin with so many projects to appease so many people. And they need to focus on the content that they are putting out.
So
I mean,
Chris,
Bob Iger, and was it? I think it was Bob Iger who said that he admits that they've been doing more quantity over quality. So he did say that they are going to throttle back and focus more on the things that fans love, but do it right. So hopefully that holds true. I mean, there are certain people still in charge of the Star Wars franchise that makes me think that that's not going to happen, because if they meant that, I think some people would not be there anymore. But that's just me.
Chris, so now that Colton's talked some more trash about Marvel, next time we have you want to argue DC with him, you can just play that in the microphone, right?
I'll just pull this clip
gosh.
up. I have no faith in them anymore.
And in the
I
red
don't.
corner.
Hey, did you see the new Flash trailer? The
Yeah,
new
I
one?
did,
It
yeah.
looked cool, man.
did.
I hope it's good, man. I do. I had somebody tell me they weren't going to go see it because they didn't want to support Ezra Miller. And I said, Ezra Miller already got paid for this movie. I want to support the Flash franchise that they're not pursuing. That's fine. They need to make their money back. I will go watch it in hopes that it's cool.
What did I text
And I
you?
like 89 Keaton Batman.
Yeah.
And so, and if they may bring him back for a movie, that would be awesome.
That's the only draw to that movie is Keaton, in my opinion. It looks like a CG mess, but I will see it for Keaton.
Are you saying it looks like Marvel?
A CG man.
Well, come on, Justice League was a CG mess, even more so.
Which version? Are you going to say the Snyder Cut was a CG mess beyond Marvel's movie?
I have not seen the Snyder Cut. I'm referring to the original Whedon
okay, well,
cut,
yes, I'll agree. That movie is not good. That's easy for me to do. That's fine. Anyway, no, I personally am very excited for Ahsoka, though, because I love Rebels, and it is season 5 of Rebels. They've literally said, if you haven't watched at least the finale from Rebels, Dave Filoni said you should probably go watch it before you see Ahsoka. It'd be better if you watch the whole series, or at least the whole final season. I think if you try to watch the final season without watching the rest of the series, it is not going to feel like a great show. And there's a lot of tragedy that happens that you're going to be like, they're really upset. Am I supposed to be upset because I'm disconnected? But no, I'm pumped for Ahsoka. Like I said, Admiral Thrawn, one of my favorite villains, one of my favorite characters in Star Wars, Heir to the Empire. That's a book series you guys need to listen to. That is very well read. I will get you, I'll look up to see if there's one version or multiple, and I will let Gunnar know so you can know, Colton, which version of that to pick up. It's very well read. The narrator, even like his voices for Luke and Han and everybody, like it's like listening to the actors. Okay. So good. So good. But so I'm excited for Ahsoka. I love the idea of getting to see Chopper and Hera. We got to see Zeb in this season of Mandalorian. We got to see one of the
cameo I can get behind.
Yeah, for real, right? The thing I was most bummed about is I thought he was going to be like, I'll go with you. Yeah. Like I thought that's what it was going to happen. I was like, oh, we're going to get Zeb. And then it was just like that moment. But still, it was cool to see him. And, you know, Sabine, I really thought they'd bring Sabine in with all the Mandalorian stuff to just intro her to the audience who doesn't know Rebels. I thought this season would be the live action intro to Sabine because it would allow for that. And it would fit within the confines of the Mandalorian. And they didn't do that. And I was like, okay, we spent all that time on Coruscant, but we couldn't intro Sabine for all the people who didn't watch Rebels. But whatever.
Maybe they'll do that in Ahsoka and then she'll be in season 4.
Yeah, maybe that could be. But I mean, she's met Bo-Katan, you know, they've interacted in Rebels. So, but I'm very excited. That comes out in August. And that's the one that I actually feel hyped for, I think. I don't want to, but just the fact that the actor, I can't think of his name right now, but the actor who voiced Admiral Thrawn in Rebels, did all of the acting for him in the animated series, is playing him live action. So it is literally the same character that you get to, same sound, same inflections. So it'll be cool. Yeah. Kind of like they had the same voice act Cad Bane in Book of Boba. But it was a stunt man in the suit. But
Lars Nicholson? Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, he's playing Thrawn. So, and I have seen a still that was like pirated from the Disney Europe celebration, the Star Wars Celebration Europe trailer, and he looks good. So I'm excited just to get to see him live action. That's like I've wanted that for a long time. So I'm
Blue
biased.
Man.
I'm biased.
I do like if they continue down this path of making the voice actors of some of these animated characters the live action actors. That's a nice that really helps with that transition when you watch something like that and go to a live action, where if you just recast it because that person maybe couldn't act or was unavailable or something, it's a little jarring. So I do appreciate that they do try to do that.
Plus, you have somebody then that already knows the character. Like if they've played them, like he played Thrawn in at least 2 seasons, and so it's like he gets him. He knows the character, and so you don't have to worry. It isn't like Thor: Love and Thunder, where Taika Waititi literally said, "Well, I didn't know anything about Thor, and I read like 2 pages out of a comic and thought I'm going to do my own thing." And it's like, yes, and everybody could tell.
Sometimes that works in their favor, but a lot of times it doesn't.
Yeah. Now, with things that are so heavily established, it's very rare that they can effectively pull it off. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Ahsoka for me, I'm excited. I'm concerned because I've watched season 1 of Rebels, but I've not seen the Clone Wars. I've not seen the rest of Rebels. I'm concerned that I'm not going to be necessarily the key person that the show is meant for, and that it's going to leave me a bit behind. And I just hope that's not true. I hope that they do a good job of trying to balance out, like introducing established people to us that are maybe new to it. Rosario Dawson, who plays Ahsoka, she's fantastic of an actress. So if they give her good material, I'm sure she's going to do it justice and do it well. And as long as again, just like everything Marvel and Star Wars, as long as the writing is good, I'm for it. But yeah, I'm a little hesitant to jump on the bandwagon until I really see it.
Tony, you would like Rebels as a whole. You should watch it. The finale of season 2 is like the animated equivalent of Empire Strikes Back as a film. And it has like the return of Darth Maul in it. That's really interesting.
He died. He went down to 2. He was cut in half. I don't know if you saw that.
I'm going to tell you right now.
I don't know if you saw that.
I'm going to tell you right now. I like the ending of his story much better in Rebels than that. And it would have been much better served as something in Kenobi, because it's probably one of the best scenes of anything I've ever seen. But it's Rebels is very good. The first season feels a little more like geared towards kids. But the show gets really heavy the longer it goes on. And it has very good storytelling.
We talked about that, I think, when I started watching Clone Wars, is that those shows really followed their audience. Like they knew when they started it that their audience was going to be this age group, and then as it went on, they're like, okay, that original audience is getting older. We need to make this a little bit more mature as we go.
Yeah, and Clone Wars, they realized they had adults watching instead of the kids they thought were going to be watching it. But I think that Rebels, no, it's well worth the time to watch it. And the episodes are fairly short. They're like 20-minute episodes. They're animated. So it's not very hard to buzz through the series.
Yeah, I'll have to give that a go.
I really think you'd enjoy it.
But then we've got the movies that are coming up, right? So they canceled a bunch of the movies. So the Kevin Feige movie's out. The Wonder Woman director, Patty Jenkins, is that her name?
Yeah.
Yeah, that movie's out. So they got rid of those, and they got rid of, I think, another one. And so now they announced the Daisy Ridley's coming back for, did they say 1 or 3 movies?
It was 3. It was a trilogy.
I think it was a trilogy.
It's another trilogy. And nothing wrong with Daisy Ridley. She's a solid actress.
It's just writing.
Just writing. Just write it. And I think the rumors going around that Finn might be back, which would surprise me, given one, that Disney would take him back after the public lashing that he gave them.
Oh man,
he was not happy with Finn.
No, and he shouldn't be.
No,
I felt like of all the characters, he really got shortchanged. Like it seemed like he was going to be interesting, and they were like, "Nah, we're just going to forget you."
Well, and Oscar Isaac too. Like he'll never come back to Star Wars.
I mean, he's in Marvel now. He doesn't need Star Wars.
Encanto.
Hey, Moon Knight is one of the few gems of the TV series.
I watched the first 2 episodes.
We should have finished it.
You should have.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I thought it was okay. What I saw.
Yeah, it's not stellar, but it's pretty good.
Yeah.
What about you, Gunnar?
Oh, I'm excited for Ahsoka. Like Chris said, I mean, I haven't watched all of Rebels. I've watched. I can't remember what season I'm in, but I've watched parts of it and most of the Clone Wars. It's one of those where I watch it when I can, and then I get sidetracked and watch something else. But I will watch the rest of Rebels before Ahsoka comes out, and I love Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. I think she does amazing. So I'm just excited to see where they go with the show. As for the other Star Wars stuff coming out, I honestly, at this point, could care less unless, like Tony said, it's got to be good writing. But I probably will still go see it because that's kind of a family thing. We go see all the Star Wars movies, and you got to do it. So
Yeah, they said I saw one interview where they compared the movie they're coming out with that is supposed to be like before the Jedi and Sith, like in the very early days of the Force, and they were saying that you're going to see the Force used in ways that like you really haven't before, and they compared it like they basically compared it to, they literally were like, it's going to be like Marvel superheroes, but in the Star Wars universe. And I was like, oh man, that is not what Star Wars needs. I'm sure there is an audience that will think that's super cool, and maybe it'll spawn like a whole new viewership for like young kids or something that think it's awesome getting to see almost like superheroes with the Force.
why not go back and do something like Knights of the Old Republic and actually make that like a live action?
There's so much material with that though already that Disney doesn't want to acknowledge as like canon.
Yeah,
they are so hesitant to like actually use what exists.
Yeah,
that's the bummer, is they have so much well-written material that they just, they'll pull characters, because like Clone Wars was pre-Disney purchase, and clearly Ahsoka is still canon, and even Rebels was once Disney had purchased, and they brought Thrawn in, and he was from the extended lore from the books, but he was such a fan favorite. They're like, well, we should pull him then. But
my concern with them doing anything prequel, like before where we're at now in the timeline, is it falls into that same problem, especially with the writers that we have in Disney right now. They can't write things with all the history behind them, let alone, can you imagine what they'll do with the damage of the history if they go back? Like
they just want to make it up. They don't want to have any boundaries. They don't want to have to know anything. They're like, we're just gonna make it up. It's like the what's the show? Rings of Power. They picked something that was the most obscure thing they could because they didn't want to actually make something that was like faithful to Tolkien. They were like, we just want to use the IP to try to get people to watch, but we don't want to actually put work into it. Like, that's what they're gonna do with Star Wars. It's gonna be, that movie is okay. I hope it's not, but it might just be the Rings of Power of Star Wars.
So what do we do? So what happens with all that? We're gonna get around that. We're gonna get around that. Barely an inconvenience.
Oh, that's gonna be super difficult. Oh, super easy. Barely an inconvenience.
Yes. So, do you guys have anything else you want to talk about with Mando season 3?
I think we drove that thing. I think we dug its grave and just tossed it right in.
Just like the post-credit scene for Guardians 3.
Oh gosh.
Sorry. You started it, Tony. You started that. Yeah. Tony, anything else?
It was a good end to the franchise. I'm really going to miss Guardians.
Are you guys seeing it next? Are you guys seeing it opening weekend?
Ask that guy. I don't know.
I don't know.
Are you
It's
seeing
gonna
him?
be tough.
I probably not open.
Do you remember when you guys used to do that and hold this
Oh,
podcast? You
you
used to
know,
have a podcast that you would do like opening weekend opinions almost.
yeah, you know,
It was really
you
cool.
remember that movie that came out a couple months ago called Ant-Man Quantumania? And Colton and I had this like we were gonna watch it opening weekend.
I
and
remember when you were like, "Yeah, I'm going this week."
we still have not seen it.
Hey, it's got a Disney Plus release date.
Does it? That's what
I'm telling you, I think part of it, let's be real though. Part of it is your lives now. You're both busy. Colton's it seems to be a little harder to coordinate, but it's also that you don't like deep down that like love of expectation that Marvel used to bring with each movie, where you were like, no, we have to move heaven and earth to try to get to the theater. Like you don't have that now. Like you don't. And so just with like most movies that come out right now, they don't have that.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, we'll get to it on streaming. Like that's
No, yeah. That's the
that's
thing. with
what it
Ant-Man.
is now.
Yeah, we were like, yeah, we're gonna go see it opening weekend, and then like, I don't know if it was the like couple days before with all the critic reviews and all that, and it's like, this movie's gonna suck. And then we never really talked about it after that, and then there's a bunch of stuff came up, so we just missed it, and then ever since then it's been like, that was gonna be our first episode of year 2, and we're already 8 episodes past it. So.
Yeah, we're eight past it, and
But with streaming releases now, you can kind of do it as a relevant thing
Yeah.
later,
Exactly.
at least now, because there are a lot of people that don't watch in theaters. They wait for the streaming release now. So
You're
you guys can still, like, there are going to be plenty of listeners that still haven't seen it who are going to watch it at the exact same time you guys finally sit down and watch it. And so it won't really hurt for you guys getting to share that moment with your listening audience, with all of us.
You just
that like
saved
to
it for
listen.
me. You just saved it for me. Thank
Thanks.
you.
I try to be positive.
That's right. Thanks.
Well, I'll break it down then. I am concerned about Ant-Man and Quantumania just because of what's happened with the main character that's in it. I mean, Jonathan
Kang?
Majors, yeah, he's in a lot of trouble right now. And so I haven't seen the movie, but I've heard that they set him up as for future movies and shows. And
Yeah.
it seems like that's a little bit in jeopardy now.
I haven't seen this news. I'm going to have to look it up
Yes.
because he's supposed to be the best part of that movie. Like everybody said that, even people that weren't big fans of the movie said he was the redeeming factor. So that's not good.
yeah, they're already talking about who would replace him already.
Oh man.
They're
So
gonna
he's
pull a Don
like,
Cheadle.
I was going to say, he's like their Ezra Miller. Like if they were going to, like once he started hitting the news, they were like, do we pull the Flash movie altogether? Like, okay.
Luckily, it happened after this movie came out.
Yeah.
Man. Okay.
Yeah.
Man, they did too, because that's the whole setup from Loki.
Yep.
That's,
Yeah,
it
they
happens.
have to recast it.
DC's done it twice. It was about time Marvel made that bad call. Had something come out because DC had Amber Heard and Ezra Miller, so might as well
they
have
just
something.
And it's like the same year.
They just doubled down on her. She's coming back.
They aren't making another Aquaman though.
They are.
She's coming back.
Yeah, there's another Aquaman movie coming out.
Yeah.
Well, no, but it's already filmed. They said the whole controversy was, do we cut her out of the movie and have to reshoot? And they were like, no. They were like, no, we're not going to do that. We're just gonna do the movie, because it was already filmed.
Yeah, well, they
is
kept
what it
her.
was. Yeah, they did.
They kept her in the
That was
movie.
a big. I think that. I mean, yeah, Jason Momoa had nothing good to say about working with her either.
Yep.
But,
I still will say I'll defend that Iron Man 2 had the best change, because you changed to John Cheadle for Rhodey, but just to have them acknowledge it, because they had a lot of press before it about the replacement, and it's not going to be as good because it's not that Don Cheadle's a bad actor. He's certainly better than the other gentleman. I can't think of his name, but the fact that they addressed it so well in just that opening line, you see him, because it's a double play. It's talking to us as to the audience, not only as he's talking to Tony. It's like, get over it, I'm here, let's move on, or whatever the line was. It was so good.
Yeah. And I honestly think Don Cheadle did a great job for everything else that he was into. Loved Don Cheadle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, he has acting chops. He's a good one.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah.
All
Yeah.
right.
Oh, are you guys gonna? So speaking of movies, though, summer blockbusters are coming out. You guys are the call guys. I'm sure you have a big slate of things you want to see.
Yep.
There's a movie that I have very mixed feelings about wanting to see. I'm probably not going to go see it, but I saw a new trailer for it today. Did you see the new Transformers trailer?
I didn't see the new one, but
There's one that dropped today, and it actually, I mean, they show Unicron and stuff like it was kind of cool. I'm not going to lie. It was kind of a cool trailer, but again, like you can't judge much from trailers anymore. But
Yeah.
I like that this is like the Transformers verse that's tied to the Bumblebee movie. And it seems like, I don't know, it looks like it might be written well enough to warrant watching. But I'm so burnt out on, like, one of the things we talked about on Andor, right, was that we like that there was so much practical effects. And you go to something like Transformers and you're like, everything is just going to be CG. It's going to be one giant CG mess. I just like the finale of Black Panther, like that whole water, but like it's all just CG, like nothing's real. And it's just, I think we are all getting to the point where we're kind of like, bring it back.
let's see.
Tell
Yeah.
some smaller stories. Show us some sets.
I'm gonna start watching.
Take it
I'm
easy.
gonna start going to film festival, watch B movies. It's a real feel.
The Transformer trailer though did give me some hope for the camera jarriness that we see in movies these days,
Yeah, it was
especially in
steady.
Transformers. It was actually like they held a shot and had them kind of the robots doing an action scene in it instead of the camera
yeah.
also going nuts with it. You can't see what's going on.
No, I actually thought that was one of the things that appealed to me through the trailer that dropped today was that it looked like the combat choreography for the Transformers was pretty cool. Like, and I mean, it's Transformers, guys. Like, you're going to watch robots fight each other. You're not going for Shakespeare. You're like, did you see that guy when he pulled out the rocket launcher and then like that other guy cut his arm off with a big old sword? Like, that's why you're watching it. Like, that's literally what it's there for.
I love that you just made every single Transformers fan a Southern man.
Hey, that's my voice. That's really what it is.
Gosh.
I do have a quick question. I don't mean to tangent, but for you in particular, Blue Beetle, what are your thoughts?
I hope it's good. I think that it looks like Jaime, the character that it's based on, is kind of a funny character. And it seems like they're kind of pulling that version of him. And I don't think there's anything wrong. I'm hoping it's really well done. And I think they had some references to the original Blue Beetle. They mentioned Cord Industries or something, I think, which is Ted Cord, who was like the original before Jaime. But I don't know a lot about him as a character other than some things I've seen from like Young Justice. I haven't watched that show. And like he's in Injustice 2, and all of his dialogue's really fun. And the suit's awesome. Like even when you're fighting in Injustice, like the way that it does stuff. And I understand like the lore behind the character somewhat. But as far as the movie, it looks like it has potential. It looks like it could be a really fun movie to watch. That's one that I'm going to be trying to see all the comic book stuff this summer as much as I can, so that my other project kind of
we need to talk
reads
about
with
that
that.
too. Don't let me forget to ask you to talk about that.
But I hope it's good. It looks interesting. It looks like a fun movie. And I think it's something I have not watched Cobra Kai, but the actor is in Cobra Kai, and everybody says he's very good. And it's very clear from that scene in the trailer where he creates a sword and he does like the movement with it, that they're going to lean into the fact that he is a martial artist, I'm guessing, in real life. And I could see them kind of letting him use that while he's fighting. If they do that, I think that could be really cool to watch. That's a huge potential for like interesting fight choreography if you integrate somebody's natural talents that they've developed, you know.
You're talking about George Lopez, right? That's what you're talking about.
Oh my.
So you mentioned it. You mentioned the podcast.
My project.
Yes, your project.
Not really mine. But I'm part of it.
Well, yeah, you're.
Yeah, we
one of
mentioned it
30.
in episode 52.
A little bit, yeah.
We touched on it. Yeah. So for we decided, kind of like what you guys do, for superhero movie releases. We're going to try to watch them, and we're going to read a comic arc that coincides with that superhero. And so we're going to talk about one. Well, we've already recorded one for Shazam. We went and saw Fury of the Gods together, and we read Shazam. Shazam, what was it? It was part of Multiversity. I can't remember the title of the comic, but we ended up talking about how we felt like if the movies captured like the vibe of the character, which one we like better. And so so we're trying to do that. We're going to try to align them. They're not going to release at the same time as the movies, but we're going to try to integrate seeing the movies because that's what spawned the interest for superheroes from the other two people on the podcast. Their experience is movies, television, things like that. And so reading comics for this comic book club is meant to be their way of getting into something beyond the screen. So, but we're trying to integrate the screen this summer with all these movies. Actually, for Flash, we should read. They haven't read Flashpoint, so spoilers to anybody who's following us by then. But we'll probably read Flashpoint, Splashpoint. We'll read Flashpoint.
That's Aquaman.
Yeah, I almost said that. But yeah, we have 6 episodes recorded now. They're not published yet. The podcast is called Guys with Issues. So that's
The pun
But
gets
yeah.
applause.
yeah.
I approve of
It's
a good pun. Well done.
Guys with Issues, the comic book club is what it is. And so we're going to try to read a different comic arc. It's so hard because I want to tell like what the first couple episodes cover and things, but I don't know if I should yet since it's not official and I don't know. I don't have their sign off on sharing spoilers. But the first episode, I'm trying to remember chronologically which one our first episode is. We have an episode 0 that just gives us like a background and we tell you like why we came up with it. But I think the first episode, we're calling them issues. So issue 1 is Umbrella Academy. Because Will George, one of our podcast members, really liked the Umbrella Academy Netflix series. And he was like, why don't we read Umbrella Academy? I'd love to see how it compares. And so that's our first one.
Nice.
That's a great show, by the way. I do love that Netflix show.
Yeah.
It's very good.
You'll have to listen to the podcast to see if the opinion of the comic is the same.
We will be listening. And I
Yeah.
honestly think I know Patrick and Will both, and obviously you, Chris, and I think that it'd be fun to have all 3 of you on here to do something similar to talk about whatever.
Yeah, maybe we'll coordinate. Maybe we'll get Colton to watch The Flash, and we'll make him read Flashpoint, and we'll all.
Good luck with that.
Flash. You know Flashpoint because they did it in the Flash
Yeah.
TV show.
Here's Colton. I just want to say, DC sucks. This movie sucks. That's all I gotta say.
That's Colton.
Just gonna,
And he'll go. Now the comic. I hate to admit it. I thought it was all right.
Jennifer Aniston did not suck in that.
I'm just gonna put my hat on my mic, say DC sucks, and walk off.
Well, we try. Our first couple episodes are actually not DC. They're neither DC nor Marvel. We picked some non-big twos to start out. Granted, Umbrella Academy is actually published by Vertigo, and Vertigo is a branch of DC Comics. So technically, DC did publish Umbrella Academy.
I knew I hated that show after a while for a reason.
But well, it was written by the lead singer of My Chemical Romance. So,
That is true.
but we tried to pick some things that weren't necessarily DC or Marvel. But then we go super DC for a couple episodes because we end up reading a big story arc that the other two wanted to check out. And we kind of intersplice, like one episode is that story arc, then the following is something else. And then we go back to that story arc for like part 2 and things like that. So that's kind of the structure right now. More to come. I'll let you guys know and we can coordinate something.
Yeah. And
Let's do it.
Of course, we'll talk about it when it does come out, and we'll make sure that we get our listeners listening over there too.
Yeah,
our plenty and tons of millions of listeners we get.
Hey, Crossover's great.
Crossover
Keep
is great.
keep it building.
That's
I'm waiting for the Star Wars Marvel crossover. It's coming. Feel it.
Dude, it wouldn't comic books do stuff like that. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be they have a Star Trek Green Lantern crossover that's pretty fun. And a Ninja Turtles Batman. So
I
Scooby-Doo
think
and
I've
Supernatural?
seen something
they had
about.
who was it with Scooby Doo?
Supernatural.
They had a Ninja Turtle Power Rangers crossover. That was kind of cool. The turtles morphed. They got their morphers and had to save the Power Rangers. It was cool.
Nice. Very nice. What were you
Sorry,
saying,
Colton. What were you saying?
No, I think I remember hearing something about Batman and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
It's fun. It's fun to watch them fight him when they first meet up.
What's that YouTube channel that does the fights?
Which one? Bat in the Sun?
Bat
the
in
one
the
where they
Sun.
do the
Yeah.
live action
Yeah,
ones?
watch the
Yeah.
Bat in the Sun.
No, Bat in the Sun's cool, where it's
Yeah,
like
crazy.
it's you guys should definitely check that out sometime. Just look it up. Crazy matchups.
Yeah.
Anything from DC, Marvel, Star
One of
Wars.
them is like Is it Spider-Man versus Darth Vader? Is that the one? That's one of them.
I don't know. I know they have a Batman versus Darth Vader.
Yeah, and then you have Casey Jones versus Kick-Ass in one.
Yep,
which is really
that
good.
was one. There are so many.
Yeah,
There's so many.
so they're fun to watch. They do a really good job.
They do a great job. They were basically like really good cosplayers that started making like fight choreography.
Yeah, and the cinematography is actually really good too.
No, it's well done.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, just check them out. Bat in the Sun, YouTube. Check it out.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, plug in the YouTube channel. All right, guys. Do you have anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here? It's about 10. I'm gonna get Chris back home so he can see me at work tomorrow.
Now that we're back to full Fridays.
Yeah. Nothing. Colton, draft over yet?
Oh yeah,
First round, at
the
least.
Bears. Yeah, the Bears drafted. We got an offensive tackle. Not the
Yay,
one I
nay.
wanted, but we got a good one.
Okay.
Not the one I wanted though, but I think we got a good one.
Tony.
No, nothing really else to add. Just hoping Ahsoka's good.
Agree. Chris, any last words for the pod tonight?
Nope, I just plugged my pod. So
Yeah, thanks.
but I did want to say it was good to get to chat with Tony again.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to it. When I found out he was going to be on, I was excited to get to chat with him again.
So it's been an honor on my end.
Yeah, we'll spit on Nick.
Yeah, I was bummed.
Nick-
I was bummed when Nick canceled. It would have been
Nick-
neat to have all three of us.
Nick was very disappointed that he couldn't make it. He is currently in he no longer in California, but for the taping of this episode, he is in California.
Is he running?
And- no, he's running an event.
Is he running? No,
Is he
he's running
An
an
event.
event.
So I know for a fact that Nick is uberly excited for Ahsoka. That is his favorite character. He is here for all of it. And I would think it would be funny that when we do our Ahsoka episode that we plan on a time where he can't be here for it.
Oh man. Do you
He
know?
would-
Did he tell you his opinion of Mando season 3? Did you ask him since he couldn't be here?
Last time I talked to him, he's my Friday call, and so I'll talk to him tomorrow. But if I can, but he hadn't watched the last episode when I last talked to him.
What up until the last episode though? Did he give you an opinion at all? What had
I
been his
think he
thoughts?
loved the cameo of the one dude from Rebels.
Zeb. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, I'm sure he did.
I'm pretty
I'm
sure
sure
that's the only thing he's like so far.
Yeah,
I
you
think
know-
it would have been the same. He would have just agreed with pretty much everything we've done and said. I have a feeling.
Well, because he had liked Obi-Wan much more than we did. And so I kind of wondered if he was going to have a differing opinion for Mando. So it's nice to hear that even all the Star Wars guests ended up feeling the same way. about
Yeah.
it. I think it's because we all have taste in like what makes something engaging. And it lacked. I think that was just the end of the day. It ended up lacking. But I wish he could have been here. That would have been cool.
Yo, for sure.
We'll get him next time.
I know he's upset he couldn't make it, and I wish he could have been here. But I think we need to plan Ahsoka's episode for a time when he can't show up.
Done.
Oh,
Actually, no. I'd like to have all 5 of us on together. That'd be fun.
I think that would be fun.
Yeah.
But we
All
gotta
right.
get Chris. We gotta get Chris, Tony, and Nick on for something else other than Star Wars.
Lord of the Rings.
I'd have
Hey.
to catch up on a lot of lore.
Okay.
we have a comic pod crossover as eventually too. So
We could figure something out, I'm sure.
We'll definitely figure something out for you, Chris. Tony, you're screwed.
Understandable.
should have him on for your video game episode. Sounds like he would have good feedback for that.
I think so.
Wow.
All gone. All right. Well, I'm going to get us out of here.
Oh my.
Get everybody out of here. And I want to thank Tony, Chris. Thank you both for coming on, hanging out, talking about
Thank
Mando.
you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
It's been a good chit chat we've had here. For sure. All right. Everybody, thank you for listening to the Call Guys podcast. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts, whether it be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us on all your favorite social media accounts, whether it be Facebook, facebook.com/thecallguyspod, Instagram @thecallguys, or TikTok @thecallguyspodcast. Also be sure to check us out on YouTube. We do post a video every Monday, and we post on all your favorite podcast sites. Then when you're done listening to us, go check out all of the other podcasts on the Golden Mojo Entertainment Network of podcasts, whether that be the Murdnerds, A Quarter Books and Booze, the United States of Paranormal, Indiana Chiefs Fans, or Golden Image Podcast. You can find all their information in our podcast notes. Go check them out. And if you do want to get a hold of us, you can always send us an email, callguyspodcast@gmail.com. Chris, I need you to re-record those for me. We got to add A Quarter Books and Booze. See, that's the problem, because I would use them, but A Quarter Books and Booze is not in those.
We could do
places.
that. I have a mic set up at my house now, so if you send me what you want me to read, I could just do it at home and send it to you.
I'm in.
So
I'm in.
okay, we'll figure it out.
All right. If you guys don't have anything else,
I know, man. Love you,
all
brother.
right. Love you, brother.
Love you, brothers.
I love you too, Chris.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody out there in podcast land, see you next time.
Later. Oh. Outro.